Yo guys, I'm Niek from Produce School and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video I'm going to teach you how to make a confession style tech house track. All the sounds used in this tutorial are from the Redemption bundle, which you can check out in the link in the description. It already has got support from also tech house artists like Hooters and Neverglow and many more artists. For now, let's dive straight into the video. I've loaded up a piano and I already made a groovy kind of melody which sounds like this. You can keep the melody and tech house very simple and minimalistic, but you have to make sure it has a little groove to it. For the bass there are basically more ways to do it. You can, for example, create a sub layer, a mid layer and a top layer and combine them to get a full and fat sounding sound. The sound itself is pretty simple. Two basic shapes set to the saw wave, pitch down 3 octaves, and in the oscillator section that's basically already it. There is the MG Low 24 filter with some drive to it and envelope 2 linked to the cutoff. There is a compressor and a distortion and the sound sounds like this. Make sure you don't forget to turn on the mono legato and select the portamento time to around 230 milliseconds, so around half of this slider. Otherwise you won't be able to create those gliding notes which will really create the groove to the track. I mixed bass and it's also pretty simple, just a very minimalistic low cut and a little bit of the highs cut off right here. A Nick Romero sidechain with the classic chain set to 100% and a D Blue crusher, which is a bit crusher. This one is free, it's really cool. I will leave a link in the description to download this one. And now my bass sounds like this. The bit crusher just makes it a little bit more crispy and I like it a bit better. It would be quite boring to only have the normal bass playing for 4 bars, so I decided to create a top layer as well. It's also from the Redemption bundle and the lead is called Made in France. It sounds like this without processing. It's a quite nasty bass. On oscillator A we have a basic shape set to the square, pitch down 2 octaves, and on oscillator B we have a basic shapes saw, pitched up 1 octave and pitch down 5 semitones, and this will give you the 7th note vibe, which is really cool. You can try it out. And then LFO1 is linked to the MG Low 24 filter. For the FX section we have a distortion, reverb, filter, EQ, just the basic stuff going on right there. For the mixing I want to cut out all of the low ends because the main bass already fills up that space. I boosted some of the highs to make it a little bit more crispy. The British Clean preset in Camel Crusher, my all-time favorite, just fattens up the sound so much. And a Nick Romero kickstart, which is a side chain and it's set to classic chain and it's set to 93%. With the mixing it sounds like this. To fill up spaces in the drop I made this little synth fill in Serum which sounds like this. It's quite nasty and gritty sounding and I made it like this. It's on oscillator A analog B design, pitch down 2 octaves, and on oscillator B it's a saw wave, pitch down 1 octave. The level of the oscillator B is turned down as we will only use this to manipulate oscillator B. And we selected FM from A and set it to 56%. We shaped LFO1 like this, set the rate to 1.8. Basically linked this LFO to the noise level and the filter cutoff. For the processing inside Serum we have some hyper and some dimension, some tube distortion, a very fast delay, which you can't really hear, but it does make a little difference. Multiband compressor, which is basically an OTT simply said. Some reverb, some EQ, and another filter. I've mixed the sound and I also not went that crazy on this one, just cut out the lows and some of the highest frequencies, and I put a kickstart on it. It now sounds like this. We pushed it back in the mix a little bit because we don't want this to really be in front, but it has to fill up the drop space, like behind the main bass and the top layer. The next thing is a really interesting thing if you are into creating tech house. It's this FX which we made in Serum, which is in the pack as well, which is basically a down filter. I will show how it sounds right now. And how you can achieve this sound is actually also pretty simple. It's basically a saw wave with 8 voices of unison on oscillator A. Level 1 is shaped like this. It's basically functioning as a gator, which will make the sound go like da 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 instead of da. I think that's the best way to explain what a gator does. It's linked to the level of oscillator A, and that will create the sound like da 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 da. It sounds very cringy, but I think that's the best way to explain it. Then on LFO2 we have this linked to the chorus pitch, and that will create the effect of it pitching down slowly because we set this only to 2 bars. Well, basically the rest of the sound is simple as well. A phaser, some reverb, distortion, and some hyper and dimension. On this one I also added a bit crusher, some reverb. I cut out the highest frequencies and also quite a lot of low frequencies. Actually, now it sounds like this. Let's move on to the drop drums, which are basically one of the most important things for making tech house. One thing I can recommend you is just try a lot with percussions and with stuff like that. Try a lot with white noise. Loops can also fill up your drums very good. And the drums I made sound like this, and I will analyze them after I played it. One of the most important things of your drums is obviously your kick. In tech house you have those full sounding and fat kicks, and we have one in the Redemption bundle as well. It's kick 4 and it sounds, it's just a very hard hitting kick. Another nice thing we have in the Redemption bundle are these drum loops. And those drum loops will take away your stress about creating hi-hat loops and stuff like that, and they will just automatically fill up a lot of your drums space. You can hear directly the difference. Another nice thing you can do is create a vocal shot, put some delay and some reverb on it, stuff like that, and paste it on the place where the clap hits as well, so you get this effect. As I said, you have to be creative with using percussions and stuff like that. So for example, we put those percussions between the first and second bar. Really tiny percussions, but they really make such a huge difference. Then for the FX we have some down filters, which will really work well together with the bass. And then in between the first and second part of the drop we have this like red little up filter and some crashes. In the second part of the drop there are some drum loops with percussions and some rides coming in as well. quite simple actually, but in my opinion the drums sound really well. So now we have the synths and the drums, and they are really good sounding in my opinion. Another thing you can do is create an automation of the filter cutoff inside Serum. How you do this is you go to Serum, for example the main bass, you touch this cutoff, just click on it, go to Tools in your left menu, Last Tweak, and create an automation. When you create those subtle increases of your cutoff, it will make a huge difference, and I will show you guys the difference. So normally the main bass sounds like this. With the filter cutoff it sounds like this. So the Redemption bundle also contains lots of vocals, and one of the vocals is this one. Niek made it himself. He also made a tutorial about drop vocals, which you can check out over here. The vocal itself sounds like this.
I'm the bad bitch.
One trick for tech house vocals I want to mention is to put a delay on it, set the time to almost as low as possible, and then you will get the really metallic kind of vibe to your vocal, and that is done a lot in tech house tracks, and we also did it on this vocal. So if you pay close attention to it, you will basically hear it.
I'm the bad bitch. I'm the bad bitch. I'm the bad.
The vocal in combination with the main bass and the drums and the FX sounds like this.
I'm the bad bitch.
For a tech house build up, you really just want lots of down filters, uplifters and stuff like that, and a snare roll with a trap kind of snare which sounds like this. You can layer this with some crashes and rides. And in combination with all the ambiances and stuff like that, it sounds like this. You can also already introduce the main bass in your build up and filter it out with a low pass filter. And now we basically have our build up and our drop outro. If you guys are interested in seeing more tech house tutorials, make sure to drop a comment. We're also giving away 3 copies of the Redemption bundle to all the people that comment down below, so make sure to do that to make a chance to win that. The last thing I'm going to do is play the end result for you, and it sounds like this.
I'm the bad bitch.
In my opinion, the final result is very cool. This project file is also in the Redemption bundle, so make sure to check that out. Follow us on Instagram to never miss out on giveaways, tips and tricks, memes and stuff like that. We all post that on there. We are quite active recently on Instagram, so make sure to follow us right there. If you want, you can also leave a comment with what you want to see in our next videos. And that was basically it for today. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I hope I see you guys next time.